This is section 7.2, the quadratic formula. Many of you, most of you, probably already know how to use it. So, today we're going to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. And here is the quadratic formula. Now, the thing you'll be doing in this class is you'll be probably having to prove the quadratic formula using this equation and completing the squares. So, if you have a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, I just always memorize this. Some of you probably just memorize this. There is a story to help you remember it. I'm going to go through very quickly because I don't know it that well. There's something about a negative b going to a radical party, playing poker at a score table, and losing 4 aces and going home at 2 a.m. Whatever. This is pretty much just plug and chug, so let's go to example 1. Solve by using the quadratic formula, x squared minus 5x minus 14. So you're basically plugging in 1 for a, negative 5 for b, negative 14 for c. So you plug them in and you simplify. So you get 25 plus 56, all under the radical, 5 plus or minus that, all divided by 2. That simplifies to 5 plus or minus square root of 81 over 2, which is 5 plus or minus 9 over 2, which tells you that the answer is either 14 over 2 or 7, or negative 4 over 2 or negative 2. So you can use the quadratic formula pretty easily to get the solution to most equations. Now, something like this, you probably end up factoring because it's a lot easier to factor than to go through all this. But if you're not sure if you can factor it, it's a good way to go. And again, yesterday we did completing the square. You will be asked on tests and quizzes to be able to factor, use the quadratic formula, and complete the square. So, number 2, we have 5x squared plus 4x minus 2. Again, just plug and chug. Check your work. Go ahead and plug it in, see what you get. So, if you plug everything in, you get this mess. And the quadratic formula can be messy, so be very careful, especially with the negative signs, with the negative 4ac. So, since you have a negative c term, this is going to change the sign to a positive. So, x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 40 all over 10. So we continue to simplify, and that becomes negative 4 plus or minus 2 root 14 over 10. We can divide now the top and bottom by 2 to get that, and there's your answer. Negative 2 minus radical 14 over 5, negative 2 plus radical 14 over 5. For most of these problems, unless you have a perfect square equation, you should get 2 answers. And what we'll learn in 7.3 is that if you get a perfect square, the discriminant, or this radical part, will be 0. Example 3. Go ahead and try this one yourself, and check your answer when you're ready. Alright, if you plug in the values, you get negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 3 all over 2 times 4. Go ahead and simplify that. And look at that, we have a negative number under the radical. Well, fortunately, from what we know in chapter 6, we can now take care of that. So the first thing you have to do is take the negative out and put an I out there. So that becomes 5 plus or minus I root 23 over 8. So your answer is 5 minus I root 23 over 8 and 5 plus I root 23 over 8. So that's an easy way to write it. Of course, you want the formal way, and I'm not going to be so picky about this. But that would be 5/8 minus radical 23 over 8i, or 5/8 plus radical 23 over 8i. Whatever. It doesn't matter. If you wrote down what was in the previous slide, that's totally fine. Oh, look at this, a word problem. The volume of a rectangular jewelry box 4 centimeters in height is 136 cubic centimeters. If the perimeter of the base is 24 centimeters, find the dimensions of the base. So, in this section, you are going to have a lot of word problems to do, so get ready. Because otherwise it would just be plugging and chugging. What fun would that be? So, we know the volume of a box is the length times the width times the height. And we know the height is 4. So 4 times the length and the width is 136. Divide both sides by 4 and you get that the length and the width has to equal 34. Now, we know the perimeter of the base has to equal 24. So 2L plus 2W equals 24. And look at this. You have 2 equations and 2 unknowns. So you're going to have to do some substituting. And let's see what happens. Perimeter is L plus W equals 12. So let's call L 34 over W. So I've divided both sides by W. I'm going to substitute for L into the second equation. So we have 34 over W plus W equals 12. 34 plus W squared equals 12W. And if you move everything to one side, you get W squared minus 12W plus 34 equals 0. Now, I can tell you probably can't factor this, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it in this part of the chapter. So, use the quadratic formula, and you plug the numbers in. And you get this mess. That's actually not too bad. So, 12 plus or minus the square root of 8 over 2. I'm going through this very quickly because I assume you guys can stop and try this yourself, but you will be able to have plenty of practice in the homework. So, 12 plus or minus 2 root 2 over 2. Now we can simplify that to 6 plus or minus the square root of 2. So, if that's the width, then the length has to be this. Now we have to rationalize the denominator by multiplying top and bottom by 6 minus root 2. So, eventually you get 6 minus root 2. So what this tells you is that the length and the width are conjugates of each other. I plugged in 6 plus radical 2 for the width. If you plug in 6 minus radical 2 for the width, you would end up with 6 plus radical 2 for the length. So, you don't have to check both answers. In this case, both answers work because they're both positive. It's just that you get answers that are conjugates of each other. So, the dimensions of the base are 6 plus radical 2 centimeters and 6 minus radical 2 centimeters, or about 4.6 by 7.4 centimeters. So, with these word problems, a lot of them are going to involve some substitution, and you're going to end up with some quadratic equation. Now, you could have substituted a different way in this. You could have said L equals 24 minus W and plugged that into the other equation. You would have ended up in the same place. Alright, that is enough for 7-2. It's pretty short today. If you have any questions, please ask me. Otherwise, good luck on the homework. Oh, and since you're still here, I figured you might as well get started on the homework. Since there were problems in the section, for those of you who actually watched the video, you'll know what the assignment is, at least for the first half. Here it is. So it will take you maybe 30 minutes to do it, but since the video was so short, I thought you guys can get a head start. It'll just save you the work in class, because in class, I'm going to jump straight into the word problems on page 314. Alright, so now you have something to work on. See you guys tomorrow.